ceasefire between Iran and Israel exploded, and Trump tries to grasp the thread. Imagine this horrifying scene that woke the world at dawn today. The sky over northern Israel is painted with the lights of missiles and projectiles. Sirens wail in Haifa and the surrounding area. People run to shelters, and the entire world wonders, is this the beginning of an all-out war? It was not yet 7 p.m. Jerusalem time when the first wave of Iranian ballistic missiles was launched through Syrian and Jordanian airspace toward the occupied Palestinian territories. Not a proxy attack, not through Hezbollah in Lebanon, but Iran launching on its own Iranian missiles from Iranian territory. The Israeli army announced that its air defenses had intercepted all of the missiles so far, but warnings speak of additional waves in the coming hours. And so, in just a few hours, weeks of a fragile ceasefire collapsed, months of diplomatic efforts collapsed, and the Middle East returned to square one. Today, we will tell you the story of this sudden escalation, the story of the Israeli strike in the suburb that lit the fuse, the story of the Iranian response that sent everything spiraling out of control, and the story of Trump, who tried to stop the train while it was already moving. Come with me as we uncover the backstage drama of the 24 hours that shook the region, the Israeli strike that lit the fuse. Less than 24 hours before the Iranian missiles were launched, the scene was completely different. Israeli warplanes flew over the southern suburb of Beirut, Hezbollah's stronghold. They targeted a security complex that was hosting a high-level meeting. Leaders from Hezbollah and officers from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The preliminary toll, at least 2 dead and 20 wounded. Israel did not officially claim responsibility, but military sources confirmed that the strike was a response to Hezbollah's violations of previous understandings. Hezbollah, in turn, accused Israel of breaking the ceasefire and vowed retaliation. But the retaliation did not come from Hezbollah. It came directly from Tehran. The question analysts asked immediately was, why now? Why after all these months of relative calm? The answer, Iran was looking for a pretext, and the Israeli strike in Beirut was the perfect pretext. Iran's direct response, missiles from Tehran to Haifa. Less than an hour after the Israeli strike, sirens blared in northern Israel. Iran launched successive waves of ballistic missiles through Syrian and Jordanian airspace. Israeli defenses, the Iron Dome and the Arrow system, intercepted most of them, but the air remained charged with terror. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced in a statement that these volleys were not a passing event and would continue for several days. It added that all U.S. military bases in the region had become legitimate targets for Tehran. This is not a passing threat. This is an open declaration of war against the American presence in the Middle East. Iranian Foreign Minister Baghai said in his weekly press conference, the exchange of messages with Washington has so far taken place in an atmosphere of mistrust, and last night's attacks have deepened that. He accused America of direct complicity in the Israeli attacks, claiming they were carried out in full coordination with America and Central Command. Iran wants to tell the world, we are not just striking Israel, we are striking those who stand behind it. Trump's surprising response, stop and come back to the table. In Washington, the White House was in a state of shock. The escalation came faster than anyone had anticipated. President Donald Trump, who was following the developments from the White House, made an unexpected decision. Instead of supporting Israel and threatening Iran, he called into Fox News to announce a completely different position. Here is exactly what Trump said, as reported by global media. What I propose to Iran, you have launched your missiles and that is enough. I invite you to come directly back to the negotiating table. Yes, Trump is telling Iran, enough, stop now, come to the negotiating table. But at the same time, he did not take the military option off the table. He said the U.S. military and Central Command were on the highest state of alert and readiness to resume military operations if necessary. This is the Trump we know, two messages at once. He calls for peace while preparing for war. Trump also claimed that the two sides, America and Iran, had been very close to announcing a comprehensive peace deal before the missile strike spoiled that path. Analysts are skeptical of this claim. Negotiations had been stalled for weeks over the frozen assets file and the issue of Iranian missiles. But Trump needs a narrative. Iran broke the ceasefire, not him. After Trump's televised remarks, he spoke by phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, sources say Trump asked Netanyahu directly not to respond to the Iranian attacks on a large scale. He asked him to contain the response and not drag the region into an all-out war. Netanyahu, according to sources, did not show enthusiasm for the request. Israel prepares to respond, the unanswered question. While Trump was talking about de-escalation, Israel was preparing to respond. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu immediately convened an emergency meeting in Tel Aviv. Attending were the Minister of Defense, the Chiefs of Staff, the head of Shin Bet, and the head of Mossad. The meeting lasted hours. The discussion was not about whether to respond, but about how to respond and at what scale. Israeli military sources told Reuters that the Israeli Air Force had already launched fighter jets from its bases toward potential Iranian targets. A report in the Jerusalem Post indicated that the jets had already carried out strikes targeting sites in western and central Iran. The question that remained unanswered was, will Israel strike deep inside Iran directly, or will it settle for striking Hezbollah targets in Lebanon as a form of calculated response? Analysts are divided. The first camp says Israel cannot ignore the launch of ballistic missiles from Iranian territory. Iran must be deterred now, or the experience will be repeated. The second camp says Netanyahu may prefer to contain the crisis for now, especially given American pressure. A limited strike in Lebanon could send a message without opening a new front with Iran. The meetings of the Israeli war government are still ongoing as of the time of preparing this report. The final decision has not yet been made. Where do we stand now? The complete picture. Let us summarize what has happened in the past 24 hours. Israel struck targets in the southern suburb of Beirut, resulting in deaths and injuries. Iran responded by launching ballistic missiles at northern Israel in an unprecedented escalation in months. The IRGC threatened to target U.S. bases in the region, describing them as legitimate targets. Trump called on Iran to cease fire and return to negotiations in a desperate attempt to salvage what can be salvaged. Israel launched its jets and prepared for a military response, while Netanyahu appears unconvinced by Trump's request to contain the response. On the strategic level, the message sent by this escalation is clear. Prolonged procrastination, the constant changing of terms, and the refusal to make tangible concessions regarding frozen assets, all of this made the negotiating table useless in the eyes of the Iranians. They now prefer to speak the language of missiles. The concept of the unity of arenas, the coordination of resistance between Gaza, Lebanon, Yemen, Iraq, and Iran is no longer what it once was. The Iraqi front has sorted out its internal affairs and is less enthusiastic about engaging in a regional war. The Houthis in Yemen, their movement was very timid, as analysts described it. The Lebanese arena and Hezbollah remain the most committed to supporting Iran. What comes next? The answer in the coming hours. If Israel responds forcefully to the Iranian attacks, especially if it strikes deep inside Iran, then the Iranian response will be even more severe. And if the Iranians target U.S. bases, then Washington will find itself dragged into a war it does not want, especially with the midterm elections approaching. The question now is, who will blink first? Will Netanyahu accept Trump's request and contain his response? Or will he insist on a strong response to restore Israeli deterrence? Will Iran be satisfied with the first rounds of missiles, or will it continue launching more? And will Trump succeed in stopping the slide toward war, or will the region enter a spiral of endless violence? The next 48 hours will be decisive, and everyone is waiting. Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive all our new videos. See you in the next video.